From August 1st, in the United States, you will be able to download and 3D print a gun. I know, right? How great is that? So exactly how did we end up in this situation? Also, what kind of gun is it? We're going to discuss all of that this week on Download the Show. We have Claire Riley from CNET and Tegan Jones from Gizmodo. All right, Tegan, what was the legal environment that is currently in place that prevents them from 3D printing a gun?
This story actually goes back to 2013, where a self-proclaimed anarchist, I guess, named Cody Wilson, he basically uploaded his own 3D printing blueprint to the internet that would, allow people to download and print their own 3D printed guns.
We should have a spin-off show just called Download This Gun.
Yeah.
From August 1st.
A++ would listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that happened. And the US government at the time, which was the Obama administration, weren't particularly happy about it and ordered him to take it down.
Yeah.
And then he sued the government in 2015. And a good 3 years later, the new administration has turned around and said, you know what? We don't really want to go to court. We'll pay you legal fees. You can put it up. That's fine, honey.
So a couple of things with this. Cody Wilson, I do remember actually Download did do this story back in 2013.
I thought you were going to say you downloaded the blueprint.
No. No, but I believe the guest we had on at the time had. And Cody Wilson's quite a radical libertarian. He believes in freedom for all and da-da-da. Mm-hmm. And can we take a second to acknowledge the name of the gun?
Oh, the Liberator.
The Liberator. Nothing sounds scarier than the Liberator. Let's say that the American relationship with guns is heavily informed by the NRA, right? The NRA being a group of, being an organisation largely supported by weapons manufacturers, people who make their money from designing and selling guns. One would argue that they are not in favour of an open source 3D printed gun for all to buy. Who is this in favour of, to have open source 3D printed guns, Claire?
I think it was really in favour of the name is Liberator, the libertarians who want to be able to say it's my right to own a gun, but I don't necessarily have to buy into the military industrial complex to be able to do so. Let's turn it into a cottage industry.
The deep state can't see what's going on there now, can they?
Yeah. I think it's fascinating because, as you say, weapons manufacturers and the NRA go hand in hand. This fellow did have the support when he went through this legal process, did have the support of a group that was kind of a Second Amendment rights group.
Sure.
So I think there's obviously a lot of people in the US that believe in the importance of liberties and civil liberties associated with guns, not realising that the NRA has all those kind of political lobby ties. But I find this fascinating because the legal case actually was built around the idea that they couldn't put them online because the US doesn't have the legal right to export guns to certain countries. And so it was an export and import and kind of international borders question rather than, why are you trying to print a gun? Don't do it. It's a terrible idea.
I love when they find really, not random laws, but tenuous laws to deal with something that in conversation would be a very simple right or wrong conversation.
Yeah, welcome to the legal system, Mark.
Yeah. I guess we should say, for people that haven't actually seen pictures of it before, it's quite an unusual looking device.
It almost looks like a toy, as a lot of things do when they're 3D printed. What's interesting is that what it was made out of is the same plastic that's used for Lego bricks as well. So that's fun. And the only parts that are actually metal are the firing pin. That's right, the firing pin. And also there's another little bit that's added to it just to make it comply with US law in terms of not having a concealed weapon.
I assume you'd need to 3D print the plastic chunks and then you would need a separate 3D printer or different settings on the 3D printer to 3D print the metal parts.
I've seen a whole bunch of different things, composite of kind of a sawdust, so you can kind of create wood-looking things. Yeah. But I imagine the reason it needs to be a metal firing pin is because the heat and the kind of contact would obliterate anything plastic. So anything that's been extruded in terms of metal has to be a low temperature.
It's funny, I'm just watching the videos now and it actually
Do you want to join the conversation, Mark, or are you just on YouTube?
Literally. Mate, it's my show. Yeah. I'm looking at it now. Actually, if anything, it reminds me of a starter gun, like they use at athletic
or a
events.
flare gun.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about what you were saying in terms of the metal elements versus the plastic elements, the barrel, at least from the angle. Oh, it just exploded. It's the best video ever. The barrel appears to be made out of plastic. Maybe that's why it exploded. Never mind. Sorry. Carry on, Claire
The thing that
Riley.
I would really love to see is that, okay, so weapons manufacturers control the gun industry and they sell guns and, you know, that's what people buy. There's your economics lesson, everybody.
You were like this far away from guns don't kill people. People kill people.
What I would be interested to see, say a gun costs you $300 and the weapons manufacturers get all this money from that. I'd really love for the compulsory metal parts in the gun to now cost $300 because ultimately you have to buy them from somewhere. You can't necessarily create them yourself. If someone's still controlling that industry, what stops them charging you $300 for the part that you need to make your gun fire?
And you know what? People probably would, because one of the most important things that I find about this story is the fact that, you know, you can 3D print a gun, which means there's no serial number.
Yeah.
It's not traceable. And that's what's scary about it. So you're right. Like, people probably would chuck $300 at, you know, being able to make it work and not have anyone know about it.
Well, I would also, I mean, further to that, the fact that you could potentially melt away 70 to 80% of the gun and then the only bits left are a handful of metal elements that I'm sure doing ballistics on in the event of a crime are extraordinarily complex.
It's like killing someone with an icicle.
This is like an episode. We're like 2/3 into an episode of Black Mirror right now. Download this show. There is lots more of this in the podcast. To download this show, it is available right now on all good and some so-so podcasting apps. See you there.